Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. If you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Sharifa, and my poetry name is New Lily. If you're new, please check out the links located in the description box and comment section, and in both locations. I'm sorry, somebody's hammering for the word new. They're lit right now, y'all, because of a reaction I had as usual, gaslighting. But let me finish the title and I'll get into what the video's about. Let me stop reacting to noise campaign. Anyway, if you're new to the channel though, please check out the links located in the description box and comment section. And in both locations, you'll find an identical set of links. Links that lead to videos that talk about when my targeting started. Links that lead to videos that share information about the targeted individual program. And links that just share information about technology, tactics, and my experiences, y'all. I've been targeted since 2020. But I didn't learn I was a target until 2022 when I tried to relocate off of the island where my targeting started. So over the course of the last 2 years, I've done extensive research and I've provided basically information, videos, links, patents, etc. about the targeted individual program. So check out those links, y'all. I put together a comprehensive set of links and I put it together for a reason. I didn't do it for GP. I did it to help targets. Because a lot of the info that I now know, I wish I had known when my targeting first started. Things would have never gotten as bad as they did for me had I known some of the things that I know now. So that's also the incentive and why I create these videos. It's for documentation purposes. It's to protect myself, right? So countermeasure. And then it's also to help other targets because I can empathize. And it's kind of like this don't make the same mistakes I made type of thing. They started to hum. I don't know why they're starting to. Yo, they're lit. They are worked up, y'all. Because I had to again. Let's scroll down to a thumbnail that I have for one of my reactive abuse videos, because this is what's going on right now. Y'all see the video? More targeted individual reactive abuse and gang ... Right? You see the thumbnail says, you provoke her until she roars and then get upset at her for becoming the monster you created. That is the main theme of this program, y'all. Not just for me. This is not a specific to my targeting thing. This is a general targeted individual thing. Like, that's the main tactic. It's provocation to wrath. And then when you act wrathful, you get gaslit about the wrathful response and painted as a monster. That's how the thing works. I done figured the thing out, and even now with me knowing all that I know, I still have reactions because I'm human. And if you're constantly antagonizing, I'm dealing with it on every front, not just with you. You're just one pea in the pod. I'm dealing with it with all these different people, and then you just happen to be the one that snapped the back, because it's literally like I keep saying, the straw that breaks the camel's back with targets. You know, we're dealing with this bullshit all day long, all night long, the harassment, the surveillance, the stalking, etc., the tactics. We're dealing with it 24/7, and eventually all of those little drops of straw on our back, because that's what these tactics are, the harassment. You're just a piece of straw on my back. You might happen to be the piece of straw that busts my back up and make me have the reaction, the straw that broke the camel's back. And so when I have these reactions and I flame somebody, then they want to gaslight me about it and call me a bully, when the person was bullying me first. It's gaslighting. It's gaslighting, and that's one of the main things that they use in this program. So anyways, y'all, let me scroll back up to the top. It's just one of those moments right now. I didn't even want to make a video about this thing, man. I didn't even want to make a video about this dude again. Like, I've been trying so hard not to make any more videos about this guy. I really have, like, totally not made any videos about this guy. But now I had a reaction today. Monster bitch poked her head out because I was being antagonized, and instantly they're on top of me, revving by and mobbing and painting it like I was being a bully or a bitch just because they don't like me. Like, it's really subjectivity and bias in this targeting. There's no objectivity. It's not about right or wrong. It's about how I feel about you. I don't care if you're right or wrong in the situation. Flame her. Like, that's what it is. Look, the plain flame. I see they confirming the thing. Like, that's how this thing works. It's a mob-like mentality, and they gang up against this one individual. Typically, the individual is innocent. And once they start to, they decide to do this to you, that's what it is. It's like a clan, an angry clan / mob that's going against this one individual. And it's not everyone, but it's enough people. It's enough to do damage. It's enough. The rest are just bystanders watching the show, basically, because that's what it is at this point. You know, yesterday is funny. In my newsfeed on YouTube, y'all know how to use the shadow networking AI software. And, you know, if you're not familiar with that technology, you're new to the channel, you shouldn't even be watching this vid. Please don't start here. You'll be lost. I'm going to be using targeted individual jargon, which means terms that are specific to the targeted individual community. So if you're new, then you're not going to be familiar with some of the terms I use. And one of those terms is shadow networking, right? One of those terms is shadow networking. Check out the links in the description box and comment section where I share information about what shadow networking is. I've talked about it in so many videos, y'all. But basically, long story short, where they're using the AI software to hack all of your technological devices, and they can literally send you videos in your recommended on YouTube, in your newsfeed on Facebook, movies on Hulu, whatever, with sensitization in it to sensitize you, paint false narratives, program your brain, etc. That's how the thing works. It's a really high science program. And if you're not familiar with all of the tactics that they use, you can end up in a really deep hole. And that's pretty much what happened to me. I didn't learn all the stuff I learned until like 2 years into the targeting. And at that point, I had already had all these horrible reactions. And I had so many people piled onto the targeting ready to attack. That's how it is. You make enemies. You make more and more enemies because you have these heinous reactions. And then more people hop on like, yeah, I don't like her either. You know, that's just how the thing works. It's a diabolical program and it's been around for decades. They took this from a Stasi, authoritarian, totalitarian government, and they adapted it over here in the US. They started using it after the Patriot Act. And there's a whole agenda behind the thing too, y'all. The main goal is to propel the use of this AI software technology, not just the hacking of the technological devices, but now I'm going a little deeper. I'm talking about the neuromonitoring, where they're putting the technology in your body and microchipping you and reading your thoughts. And if they want, they can push thoughts in your head and they can control your body and etc. Targets are the lab rats. And this is the start of dystopia. But anyways, let me continue. I don't want to go off on a tangent. I really don't. I really wish I wasn't the one in this seat. You know, I wish I could have been a bystander. I guarantee you I would have been one of those not getting involved for sure. But anyways, unfortunately, this is what the most I had planned for me, I guess. This is the seat I'm in. I'm in the seat of target, and that's what it is. So anyways, let me finish talking about what happened today, though, y'all. I don't want to make this video too long. I'm tired. I had a reaction. Boo-hoo. You know, they're not going to gaslight me about it. You could think you could gaslight me and call me bully. You're the bully. It was a response. I'm the monster you created. And I'm not even a monster. I'm very careful with my words. But that's the preconceived notion. This is how they try to paint it, right? And villainize me. Anyway, so months ago, y'all, because I have to talk about this again. Months ago, okay. At the beginning of the year, y'all, when I first started working out in the gym, I told y'all this already in a video that I actually took down. I took this video down. But some of you, I'm sure, saw it. It had a lot of views. Took the video down. There are some videos I made about people, y'all, that I decided to take down after the fact. But still, I know a lot of y'all saw the video, right? So some of y'all will be familiar with what I'm talking about. I told y'all I started working out in the gym at the beginning of the year, right? So I actually started working out again, emphasis on again, because I've been into athletics and working out throughout the years. For many, many years. That's how I am. Because I tried to paint this whole false narrative that this was some sort of new hobby of mine. This has been an ongoing thing with me throughout the years, and I've proven it. Anyways, I started working out again at the end of last year because of some of the things that happened to me physically with the targeting at the beginning of last year. I'm talking about microwave energy weapon attacks. At least I suspect that's what took place. I had all the symptoms. They were sending me subliminal messaging with the AI shadow networking software, hinting to the fact that that's what was going on, right? So I'm like 95% sure that's what happened, but I can't concretely prove it. Remember, these are intangible forms of torture, y'all. So they're doing these things, no touch, no hands, from afar. Intangible forms of torture. Look, they started to hum in my ear when I said that. Intangible forms of torture, no touch, no contact torture. Anyway, so that's why it's so effective. And even that plays into the psychological element of it, because if you're feeling all these physical effects from something they're actually using on you and you can't prove it, that also fucks with your mind. It's really psychological warfare, but there's an element of physical warfare and attack as well. Anyway, so towards the end of last year, I told y'all this already in several videos. I'm not going to go through the whole rundown of what led to me getting back into working out and that type of stuff again. I've talked about it in several videos, y'all. But I was trying to heal my body. And then also to just distract my mind and keep my mind healthy too. Because working out is good not only for your physical health, but your mental health. It's a good distraction from what's going on, right, with the targeting. But it also produces ketones in the brain. And it also produces serotonin in the brain. And it also produces dopamine in the brain. So every time you work out, you're getting all of those good hormones in your brain, and it gives you that feel-good feeling. So it helps with depression and other mental illnesses, right? Which targets deal with, of course, with the things that we're encountering on a daily basis. And so it was all about that, y'all. It was about healing my body physically, because I had taken a real hit last year with some of the things that took place at the beginning of last year, and healing my mental and keeping sane with the things that's being done to me on a day-to-day basis. So I started working out at the end of last year, right? Let's go look at those pictures, y'all. I already told y'all about this. I started hearing talking when I said, let's go look at those pictures. I'm telling you, I have a live audience 24/7, 24/7, a live audience. And they're not paying me either. They need to pay me. And then they would gaslight me about being a narcissistic bitch or acting like one. When it's them, you're making everything about me. You're focused on me. Your whole life at this point is revolving around me. You're antagonizing me. You're tearing me down 24/7. And then I have this cocky disposition and you gaslight me about it. Or I act like a bully bitch and you gaslight me about it. Anyway, excuse me. So this was from around that time, y'all, right? This is when I started working out in the gym. This hair is when I started working out in the gym. This and this, as you can see, was from the end of last year. I was working hard, y'all, at home. I wasn't in the gym yet. I was at home with water bottles, right? It started with 2. This is why I think it's so hilarious when, they try to use one of the tactics that they use to discourage me from working out or to deter me. They try to paint the false narrative about me being new, or me doing some sort of weird something like magic or some shit like that to get stronger, rather than taking into account that I've been working out at this point for about a year now. And you watched me obsessively from day one working out with water bottles. You saw that I struggled with the 2 water bottles that I started with because my body was so freaking beaten down from the attacks, what I suspect have been energy weapon attacks. I was skinny like a stick, y'all, like a twig. I could barely lift 2 water bottles, and that's not even natural for me because I'm a naturally strong girl. It's my genetics. Even on my off times where I'm not physically being active and working out and stuff, I'm typically just naturally strong. I typically have muscle tone, even when I'm not actively physically working out. That's just my genetics. I couldn't even see my muscle tone after what was done to me last year. I was so skinny. Like, my muscles started to atrophy. That's how bad the thing was. So when I started working out in this house, 2 water bottles was heavy for me. I'm there trying to do lunges with 2 water bottles. I'm struggling to get up with the 2 damn water bottles. That's how hard it was for me. And I still kept pushing myself, right? And after 3 months of consistently working out for 7 days of the week, because now I've toned it down. Since I'm working with heavy weights now and I'm doing so much in the gym, I only work out 3 days out of the week. Well, weight lift. And then 2 days out of the week, I do cardio. I'll ride my bike on one day to the basketball court. And then on Sundays, I'll take a little 20-minute jog. But I've toned down with the intensity of my workouts because I'm doing more now. But back then, when I was doing the lightweight stuff, I was working out for hours, 7 days out of the week. They saw me because they were doing noise campaigns while it was happening. So anyway, that was the start of me getting myself back together. Then when I felt strong enough and I saw like the physical changes, because I was taking protein and working out consistently, and I was taking creatine, which is kind of like a natural steroid. Don't take that to heart, the word steroid. It's not a steroid. It's all natural. In fact, you get it from meat, creatine. Creatine is something that you get naturally from meat, but you can take the pure form of it without having to eat a lot of meat. You can take it and put it in drinks and stuff, just like the protein powder, and get a more concentrated version of it, right? So it does help with muscle growth and muscle repair. But it's not steroids. I'm just saying it's like a natural steroid because it does help with muscle growth. It truly does. And I saw changes when I started taking it. That, the protein, and working consistently. So anyways, when I saw those changes and I felt stronger, I was like, okay, let me get in the gym. I'm ready to get in the gym now. Let me find a gym. So I found a gym close to the house, right? And I was terrified too, because at this point I had been targeted, right? For at this point now, like 2 years and change. And last year, as I told you all, was the fallout year from the reactions I had in 2022 when I tried to relocate off the island. Remember, that was what led to my targeting going viral and worsening. So when I got back to this island at the end of 2022, my targeting had worsened. It was a completely different thing than what it was when I left. So I was terrified, understand that, to go to the gym. I didn't know what to expect, really. But in my mind, I was just like, no matter what happens, I'm dealing with shit anyways. Even outside of the gym, I'm going to go work out. I want to get in the gym and I want to do my thing. That was my mindset, right? So at the beginning of the year, I think it was January when I got my membership, something like that, around that time, January, February. I went to the gym and I got a membership. Spoke to the owner. He was very nice, and he made me feel comfortable. So I was like, okay, well, maybe this isn't going to be as bad as I thought. You know, I go and I'm all nerves, right? I'm playing it off, but I'm all nerves. I see a lot of dudes in there when I first started going, like so many dudes, but also too, at that time, I was going in the evening time. I hadn't started going earlier yet. And so a lot of guys, and not just guys, people in general, they typically either go early in the morning before work, or they go in the evening time after work. So the midday is typically when you won't have as many people. And so at that time when I first started going, I was going in the evening time. So that shit was lit and packed, and a lot of guys were in there. Excuse me. And so I noticed this thing where a lot of them were doing this thing where it was just like they were overtly checking me out. Like, I've been checked out by a man before. I've been hit on by a man before, but I'm intuitive and I can tell when someone's being disingenuous. Some of them I couldn't tell if they were being disingenuous or not, but they were just being so obvious about the way that they were checking me out. I was just like, wait a minute, what is this? I was like, what tactic is this? So it wasn't what I was fearful of. I thought I was going to go in there and they were going to be doing all kind of noise campaign and just being mean and nasty. That's what I thought might have happened, and I had mentally prepared myself for anything. I was like, I'm going to go in there and work out still. You know, I'm determined to survive and I'm determined to do my thing. But it wasn't as bad as what I thought. But that was happening, though. A tactic I didn't expect. Like, all these dudes just, like, acting, quote-unquote, thirsty. You know, because I said this in a video and I got backlash for it, too. I'm going to get there in a minute. But I don't mean thirsty as in, like, they genuinely wanted me. And they're like, oh, you know, like, not thirsty like that. I mean, like, if you look at the definition of the urban definition of the word thirsty, it just means seeking attention. So it doesn't have to be positive attention that you're seeking. It can be negative attention. So if you're trying to antagonize me or patronize me, right, and give me this disingenuous affection, even if your intent isn't genuine, you are still being thirsty because you're trying to get my attention. You're seeking my attention, even if it's in a negative way or a mocking way. So that's what I meant when I said that, you know, because I had made a video a couple months ago and, you know, it created something too. I'm going to talk about that in a second, where I said, you know, where I was talking about what I'm talking about now. And I didn't specify what I meant when I said the guys were acting thirsty. I didn't mean thirsty like they were genuinely chasing me down like what, a tail wagging. That's not what I meant. I meant like this mocking type of thing. But it was still thirsty because you're seeking my attention. So technically they were acting thirsty. Not thirsty as in like they were really thirsting for me. That's not what it meant. Because they think I'm this cocky, you know, bitch that thinks the most of myself. This is what the real problem is. And even just now when I left the gym after I had the reaction to abuse, after I had the reaction, they're sending me some stupidness with the shadow networking about she's so pompous and this and that and they're revving by in the road. And then they sent something else about a bully and they're revving by in the road. It's gaslighting, man. Check out my narcissist video, y'all. It's gaslighting. I'm telling you it's gaslighting. Anyway, so, that was the only tactic I noticed, but a lot of the guys were being nice and they were genuinely showing me how to use the machines and stuff. And despite that little thing where some of them are just acting like overtly, like they're, you know, going out of their way to make eye contact and act like they're checking me out, aside from those few guys, it was really just an irie environment in there. And Irie environment where they were genuinely showing me how to use the equipment and just, kind of staying to themselves. Like, I could feel myself being watched, and I guess it's because I'm target, and now the target's in the gym, so it's just like a new activity going on with the freak show of the island. Like, that's really what it was, but it wasn't anything too bad. I was like, okay, I can do this. I like this environment. I can do this. That's what it felt like. So anyways, out of some of the guys that were there that were helping me use the machines was this one guy, right? Big muscular guy. Tell how loud the thing is talking next door now. I'm telling you, they're sitting here actively watching what I'm doing, y'all, obsessively. And now that I'm mentioning the dude, they're getting loud next door. And even when I said the new thing, when I first started the video, I heard a hammer next door. Like, they are actively keeping up with me, play by play, leaving work, some of them, to interact with me or to gaslight or to gang stalk. Like, that's how serious it is for some of them. It's crazy. And I don't know them like that. I don't know them. And then you want to act surprised about me acting narcissistic when you're going to this extent to involve yourself with me. Anyways. Hit the ambulance. Hit the ambulance now. The ambulance is going ham. Yo, the ambulance is going off in the back, y'all. They know what I'm saying is true. They just don't like me. One thing you have to admit is that everything I say is true and I'm real. Even if you don't like me. Anyway, y'all, let me finish what I'm saying. It's just crazy. I'm too real for my own good. You know how that's a saying? Like, that's real for me. For real. I'm too real for my own good. They even made the window tap, the little noise campaign tap. I'm too real for my own good. I'm telling you. Anyway, so, let me finish, though. So this guy, right? There was one of the guys that were helping use me use the machines. I'm sorry, I'm getting stammery. I'm hearing noise on the porch now, y'all. I'm gonna come back and finish. I'm gonna stop right here and I'm gonna come back and finish. All right, y'all, I'm back. Excuse me, to finish the video, right? So let me hurry up and finish this video, y'all, because I don't want it to be too long. So back where I was at the end of the last clip, I was telling y'all what was going on when I got in the gym at the beginning of the year. It was just like some crazy ass activity. Like, I didn't understand it, right? But it was obviously a tactic. They weren't being too malicious, and I believe the reason being, hear loud noise campaign now. They're so bothered in this damn neighborhood. They are bothered so bad. Anyways, obviously I just said it was a tactic. Obviously this is what I was alluding to with the things that I was saying. They're still getting worked up about the fact that I said these guys were paying attention to me. Even though I, out of my mouth, just told you that I acknowledged that it was likely disingenuous, it's still rubbing them the wrong way. They really think I'm some sort of narcissistic whatever when they're creating this reaction from me. Anyway, I very clearly said it was obviously with most of them disingenuous, right? I'm intuitive. So not only was it obvious, but I'm an intuitive person. So yeah, it's not a big deal. Anyway, I didn't mind that tactic because it could have been worse. And actually, I was fearful that it would have been worse when I went in there. So that being the tactic, that wasn't a big deal. That's something I could deal with easy. And rather than that though, they were pleasant in there to me. Some of the guys were showing me how to use the machines, like I was saying at the end of the last clip. And I think the reason they weren't being super nasty towards me was because around that time I had been making videos, and I was expressive about the things I was feeling and where I was coming from and my perception of what's going on with me. And I think via these videos, they realized I wasn't as much of a monster as they thought. But I do still think they thought it was this hilarious thing. And so there was that element of mockery happening, but they weren't being as nasty as they could have been to me. Anyway, so amongst the guys that were helping me use the machines was this one guy that was actually my type, because later on I ended up putting my foot in my mouth and saying that in a video. But it was my own tactic, me saying that. Right? So he truly was my type because they tried to gaslight me a few months ago when I made a video talking about what I'm talking about now, why I even mentioned him in my videos. And they tried to land the fly on me and, make it seem like I was just saying I liked him because the other guys were doing tactics and he wasn't. I'm not a liar. He's genuinely my type. But I never would have mentioned it in a video. So I didn't lie about that. I didn't just say he's my type just for the hell of it because he was being nice and not doing tactics. He wasn't the only one. There were several guys in there that were not doing tactics, that were being pleasant, that I didn't target out, not to use that word. and mention in my video and profess the fact that this person was my type. And coincidentally enough, this person is one of the guys that's not doing tactics. Genuinely, still, I say this, I'm a real honest person. I don't care what he does or how nasty he gets or what tactics he does. I'm going to be honest with you all. He is truly my type. That is the type or the aesthetic I go for. Now, I'm not a vain person like how they like to think. I'm really not. Yes, obviously, I have a type, right? Or a preference, if you will. Most people do. There are some people that genuinely just see through personality. So they don't see the exterior. All they see is the personality. But if we're being real, that's rare. That's a rare find, right? So for me, it's like you don't have to, it's not a prerequisite. You don't have to have a big, tall, muscular body for me to like you. But that is classically what I look for aesthetically if I'm looking at a man and I find them appealing. I don't care what your face looks like. And typically, I actually prefer a guy that has an average to below average face with a nice body, because those are the kind of guys that treat you good. That's my experience. I'm 32 now. I've dealt with a lot of men. I've dated all different types of men. I've dated the pretty boys. I've dated the ruffians. I've dated every type you could think of. And from my experience, the guys that have the average looking face typically treat you better and you can get a genuine love from them. Whereas with the pretty boys, it's like they're smelling their balls and they'll treat you a certain kind of way. Like, that's been my experience. Or they'll run around, that type of stuff. That's been my experience. So I was being honest when I said he was my type, right? He really is physically my type and what I typically go for physically in a man. But I would have never announced that in a video with all these people looking. It was a tactic because all these dudes were coming in there, you know, doing this thing where I obviously could tell, you know, trying to overtly, like in this mocking way, you know, act like they're checking me out. And he was one of the few guys that wasn't doing it. And out of those guys that were not doing it, he was physically my type. I didn't lie about that. I was being honest about that. And so I said it in a video. It's kind of like a buck back to the dudes that were doing the strippiness they were doing, you know, so that they would stop. And it bit me in the ass. It came back to bite me in the ass. It bit me in the ass doing it. I regret it so bad. I can't take it back. I regret it so bad. But of course, they used that as a way to punish me, what I said in that video. So initially, when I announced that this guy was my type, he wasn't doing any gang-stalking tactics. He was so friendly to me in the gym. You know, it was just this kind of like unspoken thing where I know you know what I said, but it wasn't anything bad. He wasn't doing any gang-stalking tactics. When he did a gang-stalking tactic was about 2 months ago, the initial gang-stalking tactic that he did. And what happened was I made this video talking about, and I wasn't talking about him. I was actually talking about, it's a long story. I made the video and I took it down. The other name that's ticking in my head now, there's an Italian guy in the gym and his name is ticking in my head. This is what started all of this craziness in the gym, you know. It's this tick with this guy, this Italian guy. This is what led to everything that's going on right now. It just led to like this real crazy thing in this gym here for me. So what happened is 2 months ago, I've been working out with, like I said, all of these different guys. I've been seeing their faces since the beginning of the year, and it hasn't been anything crazy going on. I've been working out with the Italian guy since the beginning of the year, and there hasn't been any weird anything with him. Look at them making noise and all kind of craziness. I don't care. I don't care. It is what it is, man. And honestly, it might be karma. It's probably karma because all the offensive stuff I shared in my car in Florida. So it's probably karma. That's probably what it is. But anyways, I was working out with that Italian guy for the whole year, and I wasn't having any type of reaction towards him, like what's happening now. It wasn't until after he came in and did a gang-stalking tactic that this whole weird thing was created. Now, mind you, I've said this already. I can acknowledge that he's an attractive guy, but he's not my type. And it's not a race thing either, because I told you all already I've dated interracially. James, my boyfriend that I dated that was from Colombia, was Caucasian. So it's not a matter of his race. That's not why he's not my type. It's his aesthetic. He's too much of a pretty boy. I don't like pretty boys like that. I've had bad experiences with pretty boys. So I wasn't even looking at him in that way. I'm telling you, I saw him and I didn't see him in that way. I wasn't looking at him in that way. And I'm not looking at him in that way now either. But it's this thing where they like to paint the narrative that I'm thirsty. And so that was my fear when the tick with him started, even though they saw that it started because of a gang-stalking tactic that he did. But it's just created this awkward thing, and it just kind of fits the narrative perfectly of me being thirsty. His name ticking in my head, but he's not my type, at least not anymore. Not that's not the type I go for. I don't typically find that to be appealing because I've had some bad experiences with that type. And that's ignorant too. I can acknowledge that. That's ignorant to class a whole type of men based off experiences I've had with prior men. But that's just human nature. You go off of past experiences, and my experience has been that typically the guys that are more average looking in the face tend to treat you better. And I've had better experiences with those type of men. And honestly too, if we're talking physical attraction, I've never really cared too much about face anyway. Even though I have dealt with pretty boys in the past. You can ask my sisters. This was a joke they had about me back in the day because they said I used to like butter faces. Like I used to like guys that had like these really nice bodies and the face wasn't looking too good. That was a thing back in the day, and they used to tease me about it. My sisters, I'm saying this on live. They're gonna see this video. I wouldn't lie about that. That was a big joke about me back in the day, was the fact that I like these men with these nice bodies and I don't really care about the face. So that's the part of me that's not vain. I don't really care about the face. I'm more so attracted to body, but you don't have to have a buff body either. I've dated men with average bodies. I've dated overweight men. I'm not a vain person. But if I were going to talk about a type that I had physically or an aesthetic that I'm typically attracted to, it's usually a muscular, tall guy. And again, I think it stems, like I said, from insecurity within myself because I'm a strong female. I'm tall. I'm 5'8". I'm naturally muscular, and then I'm athletic and I work out and stuff. So I typically like to go after really manly men. That's what I find attractive. That's always been the case. I've always found that aesthetic better, right? That's always been what I was attracted to. But then now if we're talking about face, I tend to stay away from the pretty boys if we're going into the face realm because of prior experiences. Anyway, so basically at the beginning of the year when I realized the tactic that was being done with the mockery, like some of the guys just doing this overt thing, like, you know, over the top, checking me out, extra stuff and staring at me long and stuff. Like, what is this? You know, I just thought it was funny. But at the same time, I was kind of relieved too because I'm like, it could be a lot worse what they could be doing to me right now. So this ain't too bad. But I still did make the video because I wanted them to stop. I just wanted to feel more comfortable in my workout. Despite me knowing everyone's staring at me anyways, I'm targeted. I didn't want it to be obvious that you're staring at me. I want to feel comfortable in my workout. And so I made that video, stupid me, and put my foot in my mouth, and I announced the fact that that dude was my type. Didn't lie about that. He genuinely is my type. I'm still saying that now, even all the bullshit he's been doing recently. I'm still sticking to what I said. I'm a real person. I'm not a liar. He is physically my type. He still is, right? But I would have never announced it. I announced it as, you know, sort of like this kind of way to deter the other guys that were doing the dumb shit that they were doing. And it did kind of work. They did kind of stop doing what they were doing. They didn't do it as much. I did notice that. It did work for a time. But then it came later and bit me in the ass. Look the play now. So anyways, a few months later now, when this thing with this Italian guy happened, this is what created the whole thing. I played a video. I said this already in one of my prior videos. I played a video, a recent video, right? Talking about what was going on with my grandfather when he passed away a few months ago. So what happened is they started trying to paint a new narrative. I told you already they've slung a lot of false narratives at me with this targeting. Heinous stuff to be spiteful because they think that I'm some sort of person that bears false witness or whatever the case is. So they're purposely throwing a bunch of false narratives at me. Things about witchcraft, things about me doing magic, things about me being a home wrecker. Like every horrible, nasty, vile thing you could think of, they've thrown at me at this point. So one of the narratives was that I supposedly had something to do with, you know, I don't even want to say it because it's so disgusting, but something with my grandpa's passing, and my grandpa was 89. He was 1 year shy of 90. He was elderly. So for them to even try to paint that narrative was ludicrous, but it was out of spite. So when he passed a few months ago, they were doing noise campaigns and trying to, you know, create this thing and make me feel uncomfortable instead of being respectful about the fact that somebody just passed away. So I made this whole video about it because I was pissed off that they were doing that. You know, there have been several people in my close circle that when something went wrong with them, they were sending shadow networking and the gang stalkers around trying to hint that I had something to do with it, just to be spiteful. Because in my full story, I said I felt like my roommate might have done witchcraft on me. And I explained why I felt that way. You know, at the time when the thing blew up, the targeting, when I tried to relocate off island, I wasn't familiar with the technology or the high science element of this thing. It's some really incredible anomalous stuff once you learn about it, right? Check out the patents and all of the information I've shared y'all to validate the things I'm saying. But when you first learn about this stuff, you might think it's magic. If you don't know about it and you're experiencing it, you might think some sort of weird, especially if you grew up with the background that I grew up with, in the islands where you have a grandmother that's telling you all of these different stories about this person and that person that had witchcraft done on them. Like for me, in my world and in my reality, those are things that are real, right? So they didn't feel like fallacy. They didn't feel like fable. They felt like real things. And so when I started experiencing some weird anomalous stuff in my life, I just instantly thought witchcraft, and this targeting wasn't the first weird anomalous thing I've experienced. Like since my early 20s, weird things have been happening. This is just the strangest thing. So anyway, that's why they do it though, y'all. That's why they throw the witchcraft thing at me. It's a way to buck back at me for, I guess, bearing false witness on my roommate. And I didn't say she did it either. So technically I didn't bear false witness. I just said I suspect that she might have, and this is why. So I didn't bear false witness, but it was still an insinuation, a horrible one at that. So I kind of understand the element of pushing certain things at me, but they're taking it way too far. Like it's just like overdue with some of them. It's ridiculous. My grandfather just passed. You pushing that narrative is disgusting. So anyways, so they started pushing that narrative. Last year it was my sister and my uncle and this person and that person, and it just the Lulu crazy fanatical stuff. So that's why I have to keep describing it as. I don't know what else to describe it as. So anyway, now recently, somebody in my close circle, even closer to me than those other people, and I was very close to my grandpa, by the way, but somebody in my direct intermediate family, close circle, has been having issues. She has diabetes, so it comes along with the territory, a lot of the things she's experiencing. She hasn't been taking care of herself. I just had a convo with her in the car the other day about her chowing down on greasy, salty ass KFC, and she's telling me, well, that's not why this. I said, what do you mean? Of course that's why. If you're not eating healthy and taking care of yourself, and then you're taking all of these harsh medications, of course you're not feeling well. It's not magic. It's not rocket science. So anyways, we're having this conversation. She said, you're right. And she kind of shut me up in the car. But anyway, so recently, about 2-3 months ago, she had sent me texts about how she was feeling. And so from there, they're watching avidly everything that's going on with me, right? And so when we're having this conversation, this via text message, this is the wee hours of the morning, y'all, but they're watching everything. They instantly started doing noise campaign and started running with that. And then, of course, the shadow networking AI software picked up on that. And that started being the new theme that they started sending me subliminally. So now it's that family member. I almost didn't want to say family member, that person in my close circle. But it's been several. Last year it was my sister. It's just the stupid shit they're doing to be spiteful. Anyway, so that was what led to me playing the video with my grandpa when they started pushing the narrative with this person in my close circle that has the diabetes. That was when I said, okay, so now it's her. I said a few months ago it was my elderly grandpa. And so I put that video on. And in that video, I did start to kind of address some of the offensive, inflammatory things that I shared in the privacy of my vehicle in Florida when I tried to relocate and I was stalked down and hunted down like a dog when I hadn't committed a crime. So again, similar to what happened today, it was reactive abuse. And I had a horrible reaction in my vehicle, and I started sharing some extremely offensive Hebrew Israelite propaganda. So I started talking about that in that video with my grandpa, and I created this video months ago, y'all. But I put it on about a month or two ago, like I do sometimes. When they start coming with a false narrative and I have a video that counteracts that narrative, I'll put it on. And so I had created the video months ago, right, when my grandpa had passed. But a couple months ago, when they started trying to now come with this new narrative with this other family member, painting the same stupid, dumbass, false narrative, it's not working anymore, it's dumb, I put that video on. And in that video, like I said, not only was I documenting the stupidness that they were coming with my grandpa, but I started talking about why I felt like my targeting was at such a high level to begin with. You know how I am. I go off on tangents in these videos. So I'll have a main reason or theme to the video, and then I'll start talking about other stuff that's relative. And so I start talking about why my targeting is at such a high level to begin with and what happened in Florida, some of those inflammatory things that I shared. And I think I didn't wear kid gloves as I discussed it, right? And they're staring at me angry anyways. They're just looking for a reason to be upset, a lot of these people. They're angry and bitter, some of them, and just looking for a reason to be upset. I know they see sense in what I'm saying, but it's just like, I don't like this bitch. I don't care if you're making sense or not. Get her! Like, that's the mentality of some of them. And so that's what it is. You know, I kind of came to conclusion and acceptance of that, and it is what it is, man. Anyway, so I think the way that I worded things in that video, though, and I'm not saying that to him. I just, a lot of them have that mentality, but I'm saying that because all now while I'm speaking, I'm hearing noise campaign. Oftentimes when I start getting rowdy with the things I'm saying, it's because I'm hearing noise campaigns as I speak. That's really who I'm talking to. Anyway, so I played the video, you know, just as a way to counteract the new narrative about now this other person in my close circle that I supposedly did something to, even though you're up my ass with cameras. So anyways, I played the video and obviously everyone saw. They're watching me 24/7. And some of the things I said in there, I think after listening back again, realized sounded kind of offensive the way I worded things, or I wasn't clear. Similar to like the thirsty video that I made after I made that video. You're going to hear why I made the thirsty video. But I wasn't clear about what I meant when I said thirsty, and that created more bullshit too. Like, this is just how the stupid thing works. Anyway, so after I played the video, I noticed I went to the gym. And remember, I'm going at this new time now, y'all. I'm going in the morning. Remember, I told y'all, because I have a difficulty getting a ride to the gym, right? I have to catch bus in the morning. Not bus, excuse me. I have to catch a ride with this person in my close circle in the morning when she's on her way to work. I straight from work. I work the night shift at the moment, y'all. I get ready for the gym. I don't even get any rest. And I ride down with her while she's on her way to work. I let her drop me off and I walk into the gym, right? So anyways, that's what I've been doing. And I haven't been seeing some of those faces that I typically see. Remember, I used to go around lunchtime. Well, I don't know if y'all are familiar with this. I did talk about this in prior videos. But I used to go to the gym around lunchtime, like 12-ish, 1 o'clock-ish. I would walk out and catch the public bus to the gym. But that was a shaky form of transportation. I just talked about this in my last video, y'all. So check it out and you'll hear me talking about it. And I also talked about that in my transportation video. There's a video I posted about still struggling with transportation. I talked about it in that video as well. But so in efforts of me having a stable, sure ride to the gym, I've made it a point to go early in the morning. So even if I work the night prior, which is typically the case, I'll go straight and get ready and ride to the gym with this person in my close circle while she's en route to school, right? She's a teacher. While she's en route to work, my gym is on the way. She drops me off. So initially, I wasn't seeing any of those faces that I typically see, including that guy I was just mentioning that I told you I proclaimed in a video was my type, my stupid ass. I wasn't seeing him or any of those people, right? I did start to see him slowly but surely. The guy that I proclaimed was my type. But it wasn't this thing where he was there during the workout. What would happen is sometimes towards the end of my workout, he would come in and he would tell me hello. And that was it, and then I would leave and that was it. He wasn't there during the workout. And it was only sometimes. It wasn't like every time after the workout I was seeing him. I just noticed sometimes after my workout, he would come in and he would hail me up. He would say hello, and maybe say a few words to me and I'd go about my day. That's what was happening with him. I wasn't seeing him consistently. I'm going to tell you when I started seeing him consistently. Right? So what happened is I played that, and I wasn't seeing the Italian guy either. I wasn't seeing the Italian guy at all. I wasn't seeing him at all. Okay? And I wasn't seeing any of those faces that I usually see at lunchtime when I used to go to the gym. It was just a bunch of new faces, random faces. So anyways, so I played the video about my grandpa in defense of me, right? To knock down the new narrative about this person in my close circle that they were trying to paint the false narrative about. And so, like I said, listening back, I deleted the video now. I realized that some of the things I said, the way I worded it, I don't think I expounded enough on what I meant. And I feel like the way I worded things, I'm already on eggshells when it comes to certain things. I think it may have come across as offensive. And so after playing that video, I noticed the next morning when I went to the gym, and at this point I had been in the gym for about a month, going at that morning time, and I wasn't seeing, like I said, any of those faces I typically see at lunchtime. Only that dude that I had proclaimed that I had, was my type or whatever in the video months prior. And I wasn't seeing him during my workout. Like I said, it was sometimes, and it would be after my workout, he would come in and tell me hello, and that was it. Anyway, So now I notice I go to the gym the next day. I see the Italian guy in there. I wasn't seeing him before. I used to see him at lunchtime training people, not in the morning time. All of a sudden I see him in the morning time, he working out, going ham, right? And making the noises I've talked about in my prior videos, which is a tactic that they started using on me a few months ago. And when I say a few months ago, more towards the beginning of the year than anything else. And it was in mockery of me because of this video I made, right? This was when I started making videos about people in the gym, so they started getting, like, I guess, an annoyance towards me. But I had to do it. I was documenting gangstalking tactics because they did this thing where they, sometimes like to send these little girls in there to be spiteful, and then if they're not getting the reaction they want, they'll start flying the insect drone around to get a reaction, and that was what led to me making videos about the gym. In addition to that initial video I made where I proclaimed that guy was my type and, whatever. And the reason I proclaimed that he was my type again was because he was the only one. He wasn't the only one. That's a lie. He was one of the only guys in there that wasn't doing like the overt, thirsty thing where they're acting thirsty towards me. There were a few of them. Even the Italian guy wasn't doing it. But I specifically said that guy was my type because I genuinely meant it. He really was my type, but it's not something I would have announced. I announced it as a tactic to deter those other guys, and it did work for a time. But then it came back and bit me in the ass later. So look, them flying the bird drone. Yeah, it came back and bit me in the ass later. So anyways, let me sit up, y'all. Oh. Okay, feeling out of breath, but that's because they were humming on me, y'all. They never like when I talk because they know I can knock down these false narratives. They know that the things I say make sense. They just don't like me, and they want to keep doing what they're doing to me. So it's easier to do so if I be quiet. If I talk and I make sense, then it's not a good look. So they start humming on me and doing all this extra stuff to make things difficult for me, and I'm already exhausted, y'all. I worked last night, and then I went to the gym this morning. And now I'm here. I still haven't rested, as you all can see at the top of the screen. It's lunchtime. It's 12, and I still haven't rested. And now they're humming on me, doing the Havana syndrome, another energy weapon, y'all, that I've talked about in prior videos. I don't know what the name of the actual energy weapon is. The syndrome that happens from it is called Havana syndrome. I believe it's called active denial, but I'm not sure. That might be a different energy weapon. I'm not sure. But it's this thing they start using where it causes air tinnitus, right? So it makes my ear ring, and I can feel it in my throat. It messes with my throat, sometimes makes it hard for me to swallow. It can cause sleep apnea. And it also makes me have like this shortness of breath, like this like slight pressure on the chest. It's really terrible. And it starts to choke out my vocal cords too. Like I'll feel like my vocal cords are going after a while. Anyway, look at them flying the plane with the bullshit. I'm still going to talk. Even if it's on bloody vocal cords, I will still keep talking and telling my truth. Anyway, so, here the plane. Y'all listen. That's to tell you, like, they're bold about what they're doing. I'm telling you, listen to the plane. So anyways, y'all, So what I noticed is after playing that video with my grandpa, this is like a couple months ago, and at this point, I had only been working out at this new time in the morning time, early in the morning in the gym for about a month. And for that month, like I said, I wasn't seeing any of those old faces that I used to see at lunchtime. Only that dude that I had made the proclamation, about months prior in the video talking about he's actually my type and whatever stupidness I said in the video. And I wasn't seeing him actively either. It wasn't like every day, and it wasn't during my workout time. It was some days, and it was after the workout. He would come in towards the end of my workout and tell me hello. That was it. No gang stalking anything, right? Anyways, excuse me. So after I played that video with my grandpa, I noticed I saw the Italian guy in there, right, that morning. And he was working out and going ham too. The dude was really working out. Like, they'll be really genuinely doing whatever while they're gang stalking you. Like, I've even talked about this. Like, sometimes they'll have workers around that are actually doing a real job, but they're doing noise campaign on you at the same time. And then sometimes they'll set up these fictitious things where these people will be given like this fictitious, foo-foo job, like little petty work they don't really have to do just to do noise campaign. So it's a mix of things. They do whatever to create the nasty environment for you. Anyway, so with him, he was really working out though. It was genuine. I could tell because he was sweating and all that. So he went in there to authentically work out just to, it would seem like, do noise campaigns on me. And I strongly believe it was because I played that video. It was right after I had played that video with my grandpa. And I listened back after the interaction with him in the gym because I realized it was likely that video. And when I listened back, I was like, oh shoot, that's why. When I listened to how I said certain things, I'm like, I didn't expound, and, this is already like a touchy subject. This is likely why he was there doing what he was doing. So anyways, he's doing the big, as soon as I came in, he starts going, ugh, ugh, the big loud, stupid noises that they make sometimes. And I talked about this in the last video, y'all, and several other videos. I don't really want to talk about it again. But this was something that they started doing to me months ago. Again, it was like around the time when I think they started having an annoyance with me because I started documenting certain things that took place in the gym. And again, that's reactive abuse. I only started making videos about the gym because, like I said, they started sending girls in there and flying insects in my face and doing these stupid little tactics. Even sending in the cop. Like I said, that my sister and I had talked about innocently, absent-mindedly on the bed at the beginning of the year last year. Y'all who have been keeping up with my videos, you know what I'm talking about. Sending him in there to Gangstalk too, and they didn't know that I would recognize him. Like, stuff like that they were doing before I ever made videos, and then I started making videos documenting some of the things that were taking place. Anyway, so that was really when real gang stalking, like, they amped up even more with it because I made videos about some of the stuff that was taking place in there. And even still now, it's not like so bad that I can't get my workout done, but they're getting a little bit more rowdy. It's to the point where they're like purposely sending people to block the mirror when I'm trying to squat with the Smith machine. Like, they're getting a little bit more aggressive with the gang stalking in there. And I'm sure it's because of these videos, but that's not fair. I'm doing the videos because of what was happening to begin with. That's what led to the videos in the first place. It's like I'm supposed to just tech licks and not say anything about what's happening. So I've made it a habit now to go up to the people in the mirror that are purposely blocking me and asking them politely if they can please move to the other side, because there's so much area that they can be in. They don't have to specifically be there. And I know they heard my video. They know that it's something that deters me from squatting properly. I need to see myself. I'm a long femur squatter. Even when I see myself, I'm still leaning too forward, especially when I go heavy. I need to be able to see myself so I can make sure I'm not leaning too forward over my knees. Look up long femur squatters. I have long femurs. And so it makes squatting difficult, and I'm more susceptible to poor form. So that's why I need to see myself. With every other workout, you could block me all you want. I don't care. Do you, baby. But with the squats, please, just out the way so I can do my... And here's the kicker. The whole time I'll be doing all these other workouts, they won't be in that area. As soon as I hit the Smith machine, all of a sudden they're standing directly in front of me. It's an obvious gang stalking tactic. And before I even made videos, they had started doing that, and that's what led to me making the videos about it. So anyway, it's not this disrespectful thing or me trying to be bossy or act like I own the gym. It's just, courtesy and camaraderie ship. You don't have to be my friend, but like, let's be courteous and share the gym in a respectable manner. Like, if I were in your way, and you were needing the mirror or whatever to see yourself squatting because it's actually messing with your squat, like you're having a poor form if you can't see yourself, and there's so much area where I can work out and do the same workout I'm doing, I would move. It wouldn't be a problem for me. But anyway, so I've made it a habit now when I see them doing it intentionally, I'll walk up to them and ask them politely, can you please move to this side? And then they'll move. And so that's what it is, it's just like these little stupid tactics being done. I don't know why. Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent, y'all. So back to the Italian guy, what led to the whole mess that's going on right now, really. So this is a hot mess, man. Anyway, so after I made the video with my grandpa, this is why I saw him that morning and he was just making a noise. Oh, that's what I was talking about. So like a few months prior to me even changing my gym time, when I was still going at lunchtime, I made this video. This was a positive video. It wasn't me talking about gang stalking going on in the gym, but at that time I had also made gang stalking videos about certain things they were doing in the gym. So I think that annoyance was there already. Again, I don't understand why, when I'm just documenting things that were really happening. But anyways, whatever. So this was a positive video where I was just talking, but I think they think I'm a know-it-all too. There's just already this annoyance there with me because I've said offensive things in reaction to what was happening to me. But then there's this element of them thinking that I think I'm the shit, or I think I know it all, or whatever stupidness, whatever the false preconceived notion they have of me is. They think I'm some know-it-all or whatever. And so I think even when I talk about things that I truly know, it irritates them. So I was just talking about how, doing my research and stuff, I was looking into progressive overload and, trying to go as heavy as you can. You have to mix it though. You don't want to just straight up hammer out heavy weights, or you're going to fatigue the muscle and you're not going to be able to really push it to the limit you can push it to. You do want to have a period in your workout where you're using moderate or light weights and doing a lot of reps. And that's what really creates the burn and the tearing of the muscle. But you want to mix that with heavy lifting so you can get stronger. Like the heavier you lift, the stronger you get, right? And it also creates a testosterone boost in the body when you lift super heavy. It makes your bones more dense and stronger, but it also releases more testosterone. So it's kind of like a natural steroid when you start lifting super heavy, but you don't want to do it too much and mess up your body and fatigue your body. And then you can't really push your muscles the way you need to. So I was talking about that in my videos a few months ago, and just talking about how I was going so heavy on the Smith machine that when I was trying to push the weight up, I heard myself going, whatever stupid shit I said in my video. I heard myself making a grunting sound. And so to mock me now, some of them, sometimes, it's not an all the time thing, it's whenever they're annoyed with me. They'll send somebody in and the person will be working on purpose and going, making these stupid, dumb sounds, just as a way to mock me because of what I said in that video months ago. So they don't do it all the time. Like I said, it's off and on and whenever they're annoyed with me. So the Italian guy comes in this morning. This is the first time I'm seeing him. I've been working out at this new time for about a month, hadn't seen him. Played that video with my grandpa. I see him all of a sudden this morning working out, going ham. Soon as I get in there, he starts going, just doing all these, the loud noise thing that they just do. But he looked pissed. His face looked pissed. He was going ham about it. So whatever was in my video really offended him. So anyways, I noticed that and I was like, okay, it must have, instantly I thought, okay, it had to be the video. I need to listen back to that video, right? At the time, I didn't know his name. For me, whenever I did see him, sometimes this wasn't like a consistent tick like what's happening now with his real name. Sometimes the name Garrett would tick into my head because at the beginning, when I first started working out in the gym, he was having what seemed like, I don't want to bear false witness, but what seemed like directed convo with this female, right? And they misconstrued the things I said in my videos about some of the offensive stuff I shared. Something I said about rich people, and I wasn't talking about rich people in general, because obviously rich isn't a race thing. You have rich people of all ethnicities. When I was talking about the rich thing and the stupid conspiracy theory shit I was sharing in my vehicle from one of those guys, he was talking about like people like the Rockefellers, like specific families that are in the higher echelon that have ties to the government. That's what he was talking about, conspiracy shit like that. And so that's what I meant when I said I had mentioned something about rich people. When in my full story, when I was just talking about the stupidness I shared in my car in Florida, I wasn't specifically just talking about rich people across the board because obviously that's not a race thing. But I think they misconstrued what I said, which is what happens with a lot of the things I say. And so they were having this convo that seemed like directed convo. I don't want to bear false witness. This was at the beginning of the year, right? And this was the only gangstalking tactic for the most part that I had ever really dealt with the Italian guy. For the most part, he was just a presence in the gym, right? So he was having this convo with this girl and she was talking about how Garrett took her on the boat, and he had this and that and, just, I guess, purposely like making it obvious that he had money. But when she said the Garrett took her on the boat part, she looked at me like that kind of way. So I was like, is this directed convo? This is what I figured out it was likely directed convo. But so after hearing that, whenever I would see him, I didn't know his name, but I associated the word or the name Garrett with him. So whenever I would see him, sometimes Garrett would pop in my head. But nothing really awkward between him and I had happened. So it wasn't like this consistent tick like what's happening now with his real name. It was just an every now and then thing. Garrett would pop in my head when I saw him sometimes. And it wasn't like, this thing where I'm feeling tormented and, he probably didn't even recognize that the tick was for him because I'm sure he didn't remember that little directed convo that happened at the beginning of the year. Anyway, so that was it. That was as far as that went with him. He was just another face in the gym and I was working out around him just fine. No issue. Then, if you guys check out my gym fail video, which is from a few months ago, this was when I was going up in weight on the Smith machine. I'm way heavier now than that gym fail video. But at the time, the heaviest I could squat on the Smith machine was 200 pounds. And so I decided to jump up 10 pounds. But the thing about it is, when you're squatting in the heavies and you get heavier, if you're already maxed out and at your limit and you're at a weight that's already your PR, your personal record, every pound after that counts. 2 pounds could make you fail after that if you're already at your limit. And so for me, I was like, okay, it's just a 10-pound jump, but 200 was already feeling heavy to me, right? And this was months ago, y'all. I'm way heavier now. I'm squatting down ass to grass 230, and 250 I can squat ass to grass. It's difficult, but I can squat 250 ass to grass, and 270 very difficult. Sometimes if I really push myself, I can squat 270 ass to grass, but for the most part, the 270 I do half squats with it. So I actually stopped doing the 270. I realized my body's not ready for it yet. So I do 230 and sometimes 250, the heaviest that I go on the Smith machine now. But back then, 200 was my PR, my personal record. And I decided to go at 10 pounds because I thought I was ready. And so I put the safety bars and I didn't put it high enough. I was smart enough to put them there, but cocky enough to not put it high enough to really secure me because I didn't think I needed it. I was like, okay, it's just 10 pounds. So I went to squat it and the thing folded me like a pretzel. And had it not been for me putting the safety bars at the low level that I put it, had I not used the safety bars at all, I might not have even been here sitting talking to you. Because the Italian guy did hop in and save me, because the thing still crushed me, despite the safety bars being there. It just didn't crush me all the way. But had those safety bars not been there, even if he had pulled the weight up off of me, I don't know what kind of damage it would have caused. Because he was all the way over at the leg press machine, and although it's near the Smith machine, it's still a few steps away. Right? So he had to come walk over quickly and pull the weight off of me, right? So that's why I keep saying he saved my life, right? And so there's that element of gratitude there, but then there's also a level of guilt there too, because I do feel bad about the fact that I shared all these offensive things in my car in Florida. So there's an element of guilt there too. I don't know why I'm hearing noise in my, it's so irritating, y'all. I just can't even tell you how, like the mosquito drones in my ear, it's that level of irritation that I filtered the noise campaign in the background when I'm trying to make these videos. Anyway, so it wasn't just that he had saved my life in that little moment there, because I think anybody, any good Samaritan would have done that, really and truly. If you see somebody getting crushed on, even if it's like somebody you don't like that, like the natural human instinct, I think innately humans are good. As much as they think I have trust issues and this and that, I think innately, for the most part, humans are good. So if you see somebody struggling, you see something crushing them, your natural instinct is going to be to pull the thing up off of them, even if it's somebody you don't like that. So that's what it was in that moment. I was grateful for it. But it created, that was where I want to say the awkwardness with him started. It wasn't him coming in and doing the gangstalking when he came in a few months ago. The awkwardness truly started there because I'm an awkward person and I wasn't sure what his race was. Now I know. Back then I would have described him as racially ambiguous. Like 1 minute he looked Hispanic to me. The next minute he actually looked kind of Arabic to me. The next minute it was like he was looking kind of Caucasian. I couldn't tell what the man was. I never even would have thought Italian, to be honest. But then when I realized that's what it was, I was like, wait a minute, that fits. That makes sense. But I didn't know I would describe him as racially ambiguous. And so for me, it just created this awkward thing because I know the things that I shared in my car in Florida. And at this point now I'm sensitized to race. It's this weird thing, just like how I'm sensitized to children, females, even Spanish women. They did that on purpose because I'm not going to mention it again. I talked about it in the last video. I'm not going to go into why the Spanish woman thing started. It wasn't anything I said. It was them doing their research. That's why that's happened. Something with this guy from the past. I'm not going to go into the details. So I'm sensitized to certain things or certain people, right? And so him, pulling that thing off of me, what typically would have been a normal interaction after that, created like this awkward thing for me because I'm an awkward person and I'm sensitized to on top of things. So after that, I was just moving so basity and awkward and flustered around him. I don't know why, when I was working out around him all the time and it was just very normal. And so that was really where the awkwardness started. Then I switched my gym time. There was no name taking into my head because I didn't know his name. And the Garrett thing, even despite the awkwardness, wasn't really taken in my head like that. I was just basity or flustered around him because of that. So anyways, now fast forward to when I started working out in the morning time, I stopped seeing him. And most of those faces I was seeing at lunchtime. So awkwardness solved, problem solved, right? I thought. Anyway, so I watched that video with my grandpa. Hold on, y'all, I need to blow my nose. Let me end the video. Let me get something to drink because I am thirsty, genuinely thirsty. And then I'll come back and I'll finish the video. So let me finish up with this thing here now. Because I just want to get to what happened today. It's just crazy to me. The way they gaslit me about the thing. I can't get over it. Anyway, so now I'm going to the gym in the morning time. I'm not seeing that guy, the Italian guy, anymore. And at the time, I didn't even know he was Italian. I didn't learn until what took place, right? So play the video with my grandpa. all of a sudden that morning I see him there in the morning working out, going ham, doing the noise thing, mockery thing that they do sometimes when they're annoyed with me. Excuse me. So I made a video about it. I went home and I made this video talking about, the fact that you're constantly being judged as a target. And sometimes you'll play a video to advocate for yourself, and the whole purpose of you playing the video is missed, and they hone in on something negative and focus on that and create something from it. And whatever else I was saying, and I don't remember exactly all that I was saying, but I talked about what happened with him that morning and why I think it happened. I did talk about him, but I didn't describe him as the Italian guy because I didn't know he was Italian at the time. All I said was that he was racially ambiguous, so I didn't know his race, and I believe the things that I said in that video, I didn't word it properly, and I believe that it further inflamed what was already probably an offense that was there, right? I said that, all of a sudden I started seeing this guy every morning in the gym, actively, every morning. Like, literally, I go in there, he's in there, and he started wearing the Italian flag on his head. So he made it very clear that what his race was, I guess because I said that he was racially ambiguous. So it was just the confirmation that, yes, you offended me. So I understood, and there was no anger there. I just understood. But they started to send him, I don't know if they're sending him or if he's doing this of his own. I mean, they're not going to force him. It's not like they're tying him up and making him do it. But I don't know if he's just naturally like, because that's how it is with the targeting. You have people that become aware of the situation. Some of them choose to gangstalk, of their own choice, right? And then some people are hired on as gang stalkers, So I don't know what it is with him. I don't know if they're hiring him and sending him in there, or if he's somebody that's just aware of the situation. He happens to be a trainer at the gym I work out at, because he does look like a real trainer. He has the build and everything, so I truly believe he really is a trainer. And he just decides to get involved because of some of the things. I'm not sure. Only they know what's really going on. I'm the target. I'm in the darkness. Not to use that terminology. They like to use the darkness bullshit on me. But truly, I am in the dark when it comes to this thing. I don't know what the ins and outs or the operation is. I don't know who's who up in there or anywhere, really. It's a scary thing when you're targeted. But anyways, so I just start seeing him all the time after that. After I made that video, but also in the video, I made the comment that, some of these guys come in the gym, and they like to, no, what I said was they like to push the thirsty narrative. That's what I said. Now I remember. As I was making the video, I also talked about the fact that they like to push the thirsty word at me. Another false narrative to deter me from working out and make me feel uncomfortable about working out. They also sent me a video with the shadow networking about objectifying myself and making myself a sexual object for men, and how men will never respect me or want to marry me, but would more so look at me as a sexual object because of the way that I'm presenting myself, and if you're showing too much body, this and that. Some stupid shit they sent me with the shadow networking. They'd be sending all kind of stuff, calling me hoe, I'm thirsty, all of these things just because I'm going and I'm working out. So for me, and now, of course, I made a video. Now, I'm going off on a tangent. I just have to quickly, because this is all a part of the thirsty narrative that they've been spinning. I have to talk about the fact that a lot of these girls are going in there that they're sending in there. By the way, I can tell they're gang stalkers, some of these girls. Going in there with these little short shirts on, belly out, short little pants on, bending over, doing all kind of stuff. I'm covering myself. I'm wearing leggings, and I'm wearing a shirt. At this point now, I'm starting to get results from working out. If I wanted to, I could show out and put on a little short pom-pom pants if I wanted to. I don't do that stuff. So for them to try and say that I was objectifying myself and making myself a sexual object because I'm going and I'm working out, I feel like that's so sexist. Because you're not saying that about the men in there, but because I'm a female, I'm objectifying myself because I want to go work out. It's crazy, and it's gaslighting. They're being sexist, first of all. But then second of all, they're trying to gaslight me and again deter me from working out. It's the thirsty thing. It's the I did magic thing. It's the sending the little girls in their thing. It's all of these different little stupid tactics to try to deter me, and it's not working. So anyways, so that's just it. Pushing this thirsty narrative, that's one of the things I like to do. And I just, in the video, as I was talking about what he was doing with the loud noises and stuff, I kind of just started talking about some of these guys in there and how they'll send them in there. And for him, again, I feel like he came in that moment and did what he did because he was offended by the video I played. But then I started touching on the element of some of these other guys that were coming in there acting quote unquote thirsty. And again, not genuinely trying to get my attention as in like they're interested in dating me, because I wasn't specific in that video. And it created something. It created what I want to call the first gang stalking activity from the dude that I announced I found attractive, right? Or I said he was my type, whatever stupidness I said. So in the video, I was just talking about the fact that, you know, they like to call me thirsty. After I was talking about the activity with the Italian guy, I said they like to call me thirsty, but a lot of them come in there doing these tactics to get my attention and acting thirsty. That's what I said, and I didn't really specify what I meant when I said get my attention. I didn't mean that they're genuinely trying to get my attention and court me and take me to the courthouse and marry me. That's not what I meant. But of course, they hear whatever Delulu shit they want to hear, right? And purposely misconstrue the things I say because they don't like me as a person and they think I'm this narcissistic, pig-headed person. So naturally, when I say that the guys are acting thirsty, they think I mean that they're running me down. That's not what I meant. I mean, they are running me down, but not like that. I mean, like gangstalking, like doing noise campaigns, doing tactics. That's what I meant. So anyways, I said the thirsty thing and I didn't specify what I meant in that video. And so I noticed the next day when I came back to the gym, the Italian guy was there. He had the Italian flag on his head. And the dude that I had mentioned in the beginning of the year, right? That I said I had, that was my type, right? He's in there with a white shirt on and a red pants on. So that was the first gang stalking activity I had noticed from him. And so I was like, is he doing this because I said the thirsty thing in a video? I was like, I wasn't even talking about him. You know, I'm like, are you kidding me? You know, it's like I literally was actually more so referencing the Italian guy, but not just him. Now talking about all these dudes that over the course of the last few months had off and on came in, you know, trying to do whatever. But it was more so at the beginning of the year when they were doing the thirsty thing. But still, sometimes they send these guys in to do it. Sometimes off and on. There was this one guy they sent and he was like doing it like overtly in recent months. So anyway, I said the thirsty thing and I didn't specify what I meant when I said the thirsty thing. And so he came the next day and he had the white shirt on and the red pants on. I'm like, are you kidding me? You know, and so I made a video about that too. And then I took it on. I was like, this is stupid. Let me take both of these videos down. So I took the video down about the Italian guy and I took the video down about that guy. After that, I didn't notice any more gang stalking activity from him, but I started seeing him consistently in the gym. That was when I started seeing him. So it was him and the Italian guy. Both of them I was seeing all of a sudden at the same time as me when I'm going to work out in this morning time. When initially I wasn't seeing neither of them, only the dude that I had announced earlier on in the video was my type. I only was seeing him off and on after the workout. He would come in and say hello to me, and that was it. He wasn't there during the workout. He wasn't wearing gang stalking colors. He wasn't doing the extra stuff. It was after that thing with the Italian guy and me making the video and saying the thirsty thing. The next day I saw this dude in the gym in white and red, and then all of a sudden I'm seeing both of them in the gym consistently at the same time as me. But there wasn't any other gang stalking that I could tell from the guy that I mentioned was my type. It's just that I started seeing him now. He's now coming in at the time that I'm coming in during the hour that I'm working out, the hour and a half, whatever. And I'm seeing the Italian guy. So anyways, one of these times while he's in there, he actually called the Italian guy over. He was calling me over too because he was trying to show me how he was training this person, right? And he was trying to show me how you can basically get the maximum growth for your legs. And he was showing me what he was doing with one of these people, right? And so he called over the Italian guy also. And so I heard his name, and that was what created the tick. After I heard the guy's name, I already felt awkward about making a video about him. And I'm sensitized to race, you know, and I'm sensitized to just the whole situation. It's embarrassing. And so this tick started happening with him. It's just like I couldn't get, it's happened to me before, y'all. This interaction, I've talked about it in private videos. They've seen it happen. They know it's happened to me before with this guy that I worked security with in the shopping center, the main shopping center. You know, it was happening with him as well. I had this awkward interaction with him. He was doing a lot of gang stalking stuff at work, and it seemed like he had this personal issue with me. I don't know what the issue was with him. I really don't. To this day, I don't know why he took such a personal thing with me. But with him, it was like it created this bad tick once I knew his name. It was him. It was also, somebody's so bothered out. Like, I'm telling y'all, with the noise campaign, somebody is so bothered. I don't know what it is. They are bothered. Say your prayers. Really. Anyway. So then also it happened with the secretary for my job. Now, with her, I can tell you why it happened. What happens is sometimes I notice, like, when something awkward is happening with me, I would receive a text from the office. And so then it's like this fear too, like that I was gonna, you know, that the schedule, like I wasn't sure if I was gonna lose hours, and I know I'm being watched and judged critically 24/7. And so her name started taking it in my head out of just awkwardness, fear of, losing hours because of these videos I'm making or a reaction I had. And it just created like this angst for me. And so her name was consistently ticking in and out of my head for a while too. And they were teasing me about that. This elderly neighbor that lives across the street. When I first moved into this house, when we first moved into my grandpa's house last year, we've been here for about a year now. His name was ticking in my head. And that was just, again, anxiety and angst about him knowing about the situation and all the neighbors knowing, because I had grown up kind of in this neighborhood. This is my grandparents' house. They've had it for decades, while they were alive and stuff. And so we used to come and visit them and sleep over, spend after school here, all kinds of stuff, right? Be here after school underneath the tree and stuff. And I would see my grandparents interacting with these neighbors. And so now this embarrassing targeting thing is happening. I'm being watched on camera. My thoughts are being projected. And then we move into this house. I was aware of some of the names in the neighborhood. And 2 of those names actually started to tick into my head at different times. There was another neighbor, a female neighbor. Her name was ticking in my head for a while too. But mainly that neighbor, that elderly neighbor, because I know his name and he's right across the street and I used to see him outside my window. His name started ticking in my head like crazy too. And he's an elderly man, right? So this is something that has happened to me before. It's not the first time. The only reason that it feels more I don't want to say that, because when it was happening with all the other people, I felt just as anxious and I was over explaining myself then too. They know what's going on, but they're purposely teasing me about it because they don't like me. But with the Italian guy, it's just like it felt more like angst. Like it made me feel more anxious. Because first of all, the race thing, there's that sensitization, but then he just so happens to be a good looking guy. And they've been for months trying to paint this false narrative about me being thirsty. So his name ticking in my head added that level of angst to the scenario, and then I noticed I started seeing him consistently after the whole, debacle with him doing the gangstalking stuff that morning, me making the video, then I started seeing him consistently. So that sensitization is there. And so his name started ticking in my head like crazy, and it just created this really awkward environment for me. Y'all know me. It didn't stop me from working out. I'm still going every morning and consistently doing my workout, but it created this awkward thing for me and this consistent tick that started happening with him. So I noticed when the tick started happening, the other guy that I mentioned, like I said at the beginning of the year, that I said was my type, or whatever stupidness I said, my dumb ass, he started to really do some heavy, hardcore gang stalking stuff when that guy's name started ticking in my head. Like, he really started getting nasty with the gang stalking. I've been working out with the dude for the whole year. He wasn't doing this stuff. Now he's coming in the morning time. He's working out at the same time as me and just doing extra stuff. Like, purposely, moving when I'm moving, doing certain stuff like that. It got so bad one day when the Italian guy's name was ticking in my head. I was squatting on the Smith machine and I had went underneath the AC vent and I was just trying to get some air. And at this point, he started working out all these little girls that look like little girls in the gym, and making them squat down in front of the machine in front of me, bending over, doing the bend over thing right in front of the Smith machine. But I still wasn't acknowledging it and I still wasn't saying anything because I felt like I had already put my foot in my mouth at the beginning of the year when I had said whatever I said about him. So it's just one of those things where it's like, damn, I can't say anything. It's just like, just you got to bite the bullet type of thing. And so I've just been biting my tongue. I've been doing all this extra stuff. I've been biting my tongue and staying quiet about it, and off and on still telling me hi in between. But then it got to this point where he just totally got this attitude and stopped saying hi to me, and it's just doing like weird stuff, man, since that tick started with the Italian guy. So then I went underneath the AC vent, right? I'm standing underneath the AC vent one time, and the tick started happening with the Italian guy. And he walks in front of me. There's a garbage can in the room by the AC vent I used to stand under, and the Italian guy's name was ticking in my head. He walks in the room, he's eating something, he slams it in the garbage. So I was like, is he trying to insinuate that I'm trash? I was trying to figure out if that's what was going on, but I was like, nah, it couldn't be that serious. So I was just like, I saw it, I was like, nah. I just brushed it off. I'm like, nah. Then the last time I went to the gym, not today, not what happened today, the last time I went to the gym, he got so damn bold with it that while I'm using the Smith machine and the Italian guy's working out next to me and his name's ticking in my head like crazy, he goes into the room, starts changing the garbage on purpose, and purposely when I failed this thing I was trying to do, I told you guys about it in the last video, where I'm purposely like loading up the barbell with as much weight as possible, and I'm putting it on the safety bars, and I'm getting underneath and I'm squatting it up to strengthen my legs, in hopes of making it easier for me to squat the 270. I told you I went up from the 180 that I know I can do, and I went up to 200 pounds. So I tried to do it, and I failed it. He comes up right as I fill it with the garbage, swinging the garbage and walking up with the garbage in this kind of way. It was obvious what he was doing. Because I noticed one other person when I left, you know how they all copy, it's like Zombieland, some of them with the gang stalking. They start to copy each other when they see a tactic. And so he kind of created something when he did that. Because then I noticed when I was walking by the ice cream shop, you know, I had went in to get perfume, I'm walking by the ice cream shop, the guy comes out and he's Caucasian, so I can understand what his tiff is. And he purposely timed it that he came out of the ice cream shop as I'm leaving the store. Now I had been in the store for however long, and he's loading the garbage in his vehicle. And the only reason I strongly suspect it's gang stalking is because when I actually worked in the shopping center, there were a few times that same owner for that store did some stuff that seemed like gang stalking, right? So I used to just move my car. And I understand, again, when it comes to the Caucasian thing, I don't really buck back too much because I know for sure I shared some offensive stuff in my vehicle in Florida. I keep saying this, I try not to buck back when it's that. I'm only human. And there's but so much gang stalk I can take before I respond. But I really try not to buck back when it comes to that because, again, I am dead wrong in that instance, in that situation. Here go the plane. Here go the plane. Here go the plane. So anyways, it's just annoying when they do certain gang stalking tactics, though, because some of the other gang stalkers will adapt the tactic. It's like a follow fashion type thing. And then they'll start doing it too, right? So that created a real irritation with me, with that guy. Like, I started to get really annoyed with him because I'm like, you're doing all this extra stuff. You weren't doing this before. Now this tick is happening with this guy. You're going over the top with the gang stalking. You're doing all this extra stuff. And I'm still not saying anything. I'm being humble about it. I'm not saying anything. You know, certain times something in my song will play like, if I'm looking for this guy, or you're the one I'm looking for, he'll purposely walk by. Like stupid stuff like that. I feel like he started sniffing himself because of what I said in my video a few months ago. And it's like, I've been biting it because I know my stupid ass, I put myself in that predicament. It was something I was trying to do to deter these other guys, and it backfired. Again, me saying he was my type wasn't a lie. I'm not going to sit here and say that it was. They tried to gang stalk a few months ago when I made the initial video with the Italian guy, right? And I was talking about how some of these guys come in acting thirsty, and I didn't specify what I meant by thirsty. After that, when he came in the red and white, the dude that I had mentioned in my video months ago and said he was my type, I made a video about that too, talking about why I felt like he did it, you know, because of the thirsty thing. And in that video, I talked about what I'm talking about now, why I even mentioned he was my type in the first place. They started flying by and landing on me, trying to insinuate that I was only saying he was my type because he wasn't doing it, the gang stalking stuff. But he wasn't the only one not doing it. That's what you need to understand. Even the Italian guy wasn't doing the gang stalking stuff, really. There were a few of them in there that were not doing gang stalking stuff that actually were helping me with the machines and stuff. And even some of the ones that were doing the gang stalking stuff, they were helping me with the machines. I specifically mentioned him because he truly is my type. And so I would have never mentioned that, but I did it as a tactic to deter those other guys who were being disingenuous. And it kind of worked. It really did for a time. But it came back and bit me in the ass later. And I regret it. So anyways, so after, so fast forward now back to where I was at though, where he started getting real rowdy with the stuff after the tick with the dude started. You know, start doing some real rowdy extra stuff. And it's like he's changing the garbage purposely when I failed, you know, the thing I was trying to do with the barbell. He changing the garbage and purposely walking by with the garbage. And it kind of created this thing with some of the gangstalkers. I only noticed it twice. Noticed it with the ice cream shop. And then today when I was dissing him up because he did more stuff today again. And I finally reacted like a human. I went to the bus stop. I noticed they have the garbage. I don't know who put it there, right? So I don't want to, whatever. I noticed they had the garbage on the seat. So it's this thing now they're kind of copying what he did now to create this thing, like what they do. So now that I talked about it, I'm probably going to see it way more now. I only saw it twice. Now it's probably going to, just like the plaid and the army fatigue, everything I talk about, they start doing in excess. But that created an annoyance with him because I'm just like, what is really the issue? It's like he started to do extra stuff after the tick with this Italian guy happened, and I can't help the tick. It's just like, I can't help what's going on with my brain. And it was just like, it felt like he started being over the top and aggressive with the gang stalking. I was just like, what? You know, what did I do to you? And so today now, you know, initially I'm already worked up from the garbage thing now. You know, I'm already defensive. So I was using the leg press machine and I saw him come out the bathroom. It's like they have some sort of magic portal, since we're speaking magic. It seems like they have some sort of magic portal back there by the garbage. I mean, not the garbage, by the bathroom. Because sometimes I don't even see these dudes go in the bathroom. Like, I'll be over in the area that I'm working out in for like a long time, like 30, 40 minutes. I'll never see any of them go in the bathroom. But then randomly I'll see one of them coming out the bathroom or coming out. Like, it's this weird thing. I don't know. It's like they have some sort of portal back there or something. But I was on the leg press machine. You know, I had done a few workouts out there. And I was on the leg press machine and I was just doing my thing. And I go real heavy with that. I go like to 270 on the leg press machine. So I was focused. I was doing that, take my shoes off and everything. I see him come out and it looked like he was about to run over to the other bathroom. So typically I don't make a comment about the stuff he's doing. But I made a comment this morning. I just said, what are we, a bathroom hopping this morning? I thought that in my head. But it's just as good as me saying it because they can hear my thoughts in real time. I said, what are we, bathroom hopping this morning? But then instead of going across to the other bathroom, he walked out instead. And he waved at me and then he kind of put his hand down. I guess he heard my thought. And so I did this awkward half wave at him. But I'm already feeling this kind of way because last time you basically called me trash. You know, you're doing all this extra stuff now since this tick started. You know, it's like this gang up thing. I'm like, what is going on? So he just walked off home about his business and I continued doing my workout. So basically during the course of my workout, I like to sit down on the machine behind me. There's a hack, it's not really a hack squat machine, but it emulates the hack squat machine. And so he came with this girl that he's training, right? And he asked me if he could use it. So I got up, I was sitting on it to rest in between my squats. And I got up and I let him sit. So he did a little thing with her, right? He's done with her, she leaves. I'm finished with my squats now. At this point, I'm doing my deadlifts, right? And last time they did some bullshit with the deadlifts too. I don't know if they're bothered that I'm lifting super heavy because I'm doing 250-pound deadlifts. I don't know what it is. But last time when I was in the gym, I went at a different time this time. I actually went at the time I used to go. This was on Wednesday. And that was because my mom's car, the person in my close circle who gives me the ride, her car got a flat tire and I ended up having to stay with the car and she caught bus to work. And so I was able to use the car that day. So I went at a different time than I usually do. And that guy wasn't there. And I noticed when I was doing the deadlifts then, too, they sent this guy in all white in this big hot-ass tuxedo. White tuxedo, big hot sun. You know, I'm wearing a t-shirt and I was sweating. Big hot-ass white tuxedo while I'm doing the 250-pound deadlift. So that seems to be some sort of sense of, a source of contention for them. I don't know what it is. So that happened. I just snickered and giggled and I felt myself more because I was like, okay, I must be doing the damn thing if they're sending this guy in here, is how I felt about it. And then they wonder why I act so cocky, but when they do these things, I be feeling big. I ain't gonna lie. It's like bigging up my head. I'm not gonna lie. So anyways, now with this guy, back to this moment here that happened today, what led to me having the nasty thought that I had. It was a buildup. I want you to understand over the course of the last month since that tick has been happening, he has amped up in his gang stalking and I've been biting my tongue. And today was just like, I really had a reaction today. I did. And I was a bitch today, but he's been being a bitch, if you will. And I've been not responding and not saying anything and being humble. So anyways, so I started doing my deadlifts, right? I noticed this, he went in the bathroom, right? I started a few of them and he was still, I guess, training that girl behind me. So she left, you know, as soon as I started the deadlifts, he flew in the bathroom. And so as I leaned down now to get the heavy deadlift, this was heavier now. At this point, I was at 230. I wasn't at the 250 yet. As soon as I leaned out to get it, he walks out the bathroom. So I said, okay. You know, I noticed he did it. I ignored him. I picked up the deadlift. I did it. I put it back down. He went back in the bathroom again. As soon as I leaned down to get the deadlift, he walked back out again. And he kept doing it. So I said, lame. You know, I couldn't help myself. I finally had a response. Finally got my attention. I said, lame. That's all I thought in my head. I thought, lame. And he started to laugh with this dude and they were laughing up and talking about whatever they're talking about. I couldn't hear them. My earphones were in. So I keep doing my deadlifts. He starts doing it more. Like keep going in the bathroom and waiting until I'm about to lift up the deadlift to walk. I don't know if it was to distract me or what the case was. But he walked out as soon as I'm doing it. And so I said, damn, this shit really backfired. I said, next time I'm not going for the ugly nigga. That's what I thought in my head. The bitch came. I couldn't control her because I've been trying to control her for the last month. And he keeps doing stuff. Like really gnarly stuff too. Like you literally insinuated I was trash. And kind of created this thing with these other gang stalkers too. So understand I'm not a bully, you know, because instantly, of course, they hopped on me being biased and subjective and tried to paint it like I was the bully in the situation. When they full well saw it, watching so damn hard, they saw what happened. Paint it like I'm the bitch in the situation. So anyways, I said, damn, next time, this shit really backfired. That's what I thought in my head. I said, next time I'm not going for the ugly nigga. That's what I thought in my head. And, you know, I regret it because I know what it's like to have people come for my looks. They've been doing that to me all the time in this damn targeting. And I already said, and I mean this, and this is fact. This is not me just saying something from the side of my neck. Beauty, attraction, etc. These are all subjective things. So they're based on opinion, right? So what one man might find beautiful, another man might find ugly. What one female might find handsome, another female might find ugly, right? So me saying whatever I said, this doesn't confirm that he has an ugly face. I was just speaking on my own personal feelings and what my perception of the situation is. And I don't feel like he has an ugly face. I was being a bitch, right? It's not an ugly face. He has a rough face, but that's my type. I typically like rough face, average face dudes that are tall with big, buff, muscular bodies. My ex, the one that took my virginity and was running me through hoops, that was the type of look he had, but he was dark skinned. You know, tall, muscular with a rough face. Like, that's like my type. That's typically the type I go for, especially in my older years. I don't really like pretty boys. I don't find that appealing, especially not these days. And so I wasn't lying when I said he was my type. I just didn't specify. I didn't feel like I needed to, but he truly is my type. But I was a bitch about it because I'm like, there's all these other dudes coming in that are way more attractive than you, and you're acting like this cocky thing because my stupid ass said whatever I said a few months ago. I'm like, calm down, right? You're doing all this extra stuff. I don't know why. You know, this tick started and I can't help it. You're now doing extra stuff. And now this, I'm having a response. I'm responding. It was a response. It was a reaction. That's what it was. It was reactive abuse. It was a reaction. But I really meant what I said. He truly is my type, you know, despite all the stupid shit he's done. You know, and I'm not interested in dating him. I was never interested in dating him or getting with him. It was nothing like that. It was a reaction. It was me trying to deter these other dudes that were coming in, that were trying to do whatever they were trying to do, right? And it backfired. And it bit me in the ass, pretty much. Me mentioning, it didn't backfire right away either. Initially, it worked. Later down the line, the thing backfired. So that's what it was, y'all. I just wanted to talk about the reaction I had because instantly when I left the gym, you know, they were on top of me. You know, I sat down, somebody sitting in the seat I usually sit in, smoking a cigarette, you know, trying to insinuate again that I was being monster bitch. Then I start watching videos on YouTube, and with the shadow networking software, they send me a video about this lady, and saying, you are so pompous and arrogant and full of yourself. You know, like, what? Are you kidding? He was the one acting pompous, if anything. You know, that's how I feel about it. I was just reacting to the things he's been doing for the last month since the tick started. I'm already humiliated about that tick that's happening. I can't control it. And now he's hopping in and doing all these extra things to add to the humiliation. And then they sent me something about a bully. I'm like, really? Like, he was the one bullying me for the last month, actually. And I've been humble about it and not responsive. And now I finally have a response. Finally, the target responds. And I'm a bully. I couldn't understand that, man. And I meant what I said. I don't mean to say ugly. I don't think he's ugly. And I'm not backtracking now just because. Like, I feel like I was a bitch in the moment. I don't mean ugly. Obviously, I wouldn't be attracted to a face that I found ugly. Again, beauty is subjective. But he has an average face, in my opinion, a rough average face, which is just what I like. I like those guys that have the rough average face and the big buff body. That's my type, just so you know. That's what I like. I don't like pretty boys. But I purposely said the ugly thing to comfort him because I'm like, you smelling your ass and all these fine dudes coming in here and you acting like that for what? Like, trying to comfort me for what? What did I do? And so that's what created that reaction. Anyway, I had to talk about it, y'all. I'm tired now. I'm out of breath. But I could sense something brewing up because of the reaction I had to his abuse. Like, that's what I felt like. It's like another gaslighting thing happening here now. Anyways, that's it, y'all. I'll talk to you in the next one. Peace out.